According to the U.S. Elections Project, the country has smashed early turnout records with over 100 million voters casting ballots ahead of Election Day. 4 states passed their total 2016 turnout: Hawaii, Texas, Montana, and Washington. 8 states hit more than 90% of 2016 turnout. Those are Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, and Oregon. CBS News campaign reporter Cara Korte has been covering voting integrity, and she joins me now from our Washington bureau. Hey there, so great to see you. So which states did not see a similar surge in early voting this year?
Yeah, you pointed out, Elaine, that most states, battleground states in particular, are seeing these historic levels of high turnout, some of them even surpassing already their 2016 totals. There are kind of 3 tiers that you notice when you look at these early voting numbers. There are the states that are in the 90s or past 100 already. There are a few states that are kind of in that 50, 60, 70% area. And then there are 2 states that we're watching in particular that are well below the average. One is New Hampshire, where they have seen some of the lowest early voting in the country. Only 24% of their 2016 total is in right now. Elaine, you know, anyone who's covered American politics knows that New Hampshire does things a little differently, so it's not surprising that they've kind of been slow to pick up this new early voting trend. But the other is Pennsylvania, and that is important because 40% of the early vote there matches the 2016 total, which is still a lot, right? Pennsylvania was a state that only had 3% of the total vote in 2016 come early. So these adaptations that all these states have made to accommodate voting in the world of coronavirus in 2020, some states have embraced it, and some states like New Hampshire and Pennsylvania are lagging a little more behind. And the reason why that matters is because of today. We want to see what the turnout is in those states today. Were voters willing to be patient, willing to possibly stand in line today, willing to deal with technical difficulties? So those voters were telling us that they are willing to wait. They're willing to make sure that their ballots are counted on Election Day at the polling places in particular.
Well, Cara, at least 30 states could not start counting ballots until today. Now, that's normal, but how much could the huge amount of early votes delay final results from some states?
This is a really important question, Elaine, and it's hard to talk about it because, as you just said, you're wondering about delayed results. In a way, the results really aren't going to be delayed as long as everything goes well. Now, remember, there are states where mail-in ballots are accepted after today, after Election Day. Ohio, for example, if you mail in a ballot, as long as it was postmarked by November 2nd, yesterday, you have until November 13th to get that ballot in. So we know that it's going to be a while till we get the final vote in a place like Ohio, because voters have been given this grace, being that there's these Postal Service lags and other things that are going on, which we'll talk about in a second. Voters are given graces in states like Ohio to, as long as they turn it in on time, it's up to the system to get it to the states at the end of the day. So that's not so much a delay. It's just the rules that voters are playing by in certain states. But other places where this matters when you want to talk about delays is that there are a number of states that don't begin counting or processing ballots until today. Counting and processing, 2 different things. Processing is when a mail ballot comes in. Officials will do things like check a signature, maybe take it out of its envelope, get it ready to be counted. And counting is, of course, the final process of tabulation. And that takes a long time, especially if you're in a state that doesn't have a lot of experience counting large volumes of early mail, just like one we just talked about, Pennsylvania, right? So there are states in this country that have done universal vote by mail or near universal vote by mail for a long time, and those states are accommodated to doing this efficiently, quickly, and without any problem. But where officials get worried are states that are handling these large amounts of ballots for the first time, and you could see more instances of human error. It could just take longer because they have less practice in it.
Well, today a U.S. judge ordered the Postal Service to comb through some processing facilities to make sure that ballots are not being held up. Could that speed things along?
Well, you'd like to think so, Elaine. Unfortunately, just one persistent problem we've seen throughout this voting season is the Postal Service's inability to instill faith in voters to believe that their ballots are going to be handled on time. I know you and you can talk to any friend, any family member, and you will find multiple people who have had problems either getting their ballots on time or sending them back out and waiting to hear if they've been received or not. And that is because of the Postal Service and delays that they have experienced there, which began this summer when the new Postmaster General Louis DeJoy took the helm there. What matters in this instance was a judge mandated across the country inspectors go into Postal Service offices across these battleground states in particular, ensuring that ballots by the end of the day leave the facilities. They should not be sitting there at this point in time. And we just learned recently that this inspection was supposed to begin at 12:30 today, and we just learned from the Postal Service that they did not deliver on that timeline. So these are things that should be helping voters, but at this point, Elaine, we don't really know what's happening with the Postal Service and these ballots that are supposedly being handled on time.
All right, very much an open question right now. Cara Korte, Cara, thank you so much.
Thank you.